people, so today I am out at the lake. I wanted to film this tag video that I was tagged in by Molly that has to do all about the outdoors and nature and stuff. But I started off with a vlog and filming some of this beautiful place that I'm at, and it ended up being really long. And so the tag itself has like 20 questions. And so I've actually decided to break it up into two parts. And so this first video is just going to be my nature vlog and some of the questions answered. And then when I get home tonight, I will film part 2 and put them up as 2 separate videos. So you guys can watch all of that if you're interested. But yeah, just didn't want to bog you down with too much. So here is part 1. I told Molly that I would find a really pretty place to do her tag. And in my town, we have several lakes and parks and just like pretty nature places. The whole town is a like HOA, POA, Property Owners Association. And so there's a lot of like hidden pretty places and also places that you can only get into if you are a member. So anyway, if you come back behind all of these like, I don't know, machine shop places and pass all of these storage shed things, you can get to a really beautiful lake and trail with a waterfall and lots of beautiful stuff. So that's where I'm headed right now. This is only, like from this point on, you can only go here if you are a member of the POA. So all these people are trying to get off the road. Hello. Oh, they're from Colorado. They're breaking the rules. So go up here and turn around and park, and then I will show you some of the pretty spots here and see if I can find a pretty spot to do the tag. So here is kind of a 360, that's my car. It's kind of a 360 of what it looks like here. Behind this big thing that looks like a hill, there's a lake. And over here, beyond that little rock stuff, is a beautiful waterfall. So let's go take a look. There are lots of different directions one could go on the trails. And some of these wrap around this whole side of this mountain for quite a ways. But I usually don't like to go too far into these because it is very forested and very, I don't want to say remote. That sounds kind of silly because my town is like 30,000 people and there's probably 500,000 people within an hour of me. But for where I'm at, it's very secluded. That's the right word I'm looking for. It's secluded. So I don't like to get too far down deep into anything when I'm by myself. But when my kids are with me or my husband, a lot of times we just hike up this main trail. Right now there's only one other car out there, so I don't think there are too many people on the trail with me today. Now that I've said that, though, it does sound kind of funny because I will walk all over England, all over London, all over completely unfamiliar places and not be concerned about something happening to me. Maybe when I'm traveling, I just put myself in a state of ignorant bliss. And as opposed to being home where I know what happens around here and can't pretend. Before we lived in Arkansas, we lived in Oregon. That's where I was born, and we lived there until I was 33. And then we've lived here in Arkansas these last 13 years. And I've always lived in or very near a forest. The Arkansas forest is very different than the Oregon forest. There is beauty to be found in both. And I don't know that I even prefer one over the other, but the temperature definitely has a lot to do with it. It is a really nice and cool day here, probably only about 65. There's not a lot of high humidity, and so it's very enjoyable to walk through this forest. But on the days when it is super humid, for me anyway, it is just impossible. And so I am actually really thankful that we have had so many cool days these last few weeks. I can't say that it's never been this cool this late in the spring, but it doesn't seem normal, and I'm really thankful. Our sky is completely blue today. This just blows my mind. Maybe the government has decided to push chemtrails out of the budget for the time being. And I think that there is much less air travel going on right now. I went on last night just curious to look at plane prices if I were to take a trip to England in September. Normally, if I booked a trip this early out for, September from May, I could probably get my tickets for like $900, maybe $1,000, but no more than that. And I went on last night, May 6th, and a plane ticket to England for September was $3,000 for the cheapest ticket, and up to $5,000 and $6,000. I was just blown away. Okay, so I decided a couple of things before I start this tag. One is that I decided I'm just gonna do a few of the prompts out here because after I started looking at them, I realized that I'm gonna need like some books to show you. I'm gonna need to look at my library to answer some of the questions. And so I'm gonna do some of this at home, but I thought I'd do some of it out here. The other thing I decided is, so I'm sitting on this like concrete thing here. Can you see that? Okay. Yeah. I'm sitting on that and it's on a hill. See the hill? So my tripod will not stand up. So we're just gonna apologize right now for shakiness and hope that you enjoy the beautiful view, even if I am not totally steady here. All right, so this is the, oh, I forgot to write down the title. Outdoors tag, outdoor nature tag, something along those lines. And I was tagged by Molly at Molly Popplewell. And I don't know who the original creator of this tag was. So if anybody knows, or if I can find it, I'll add that to the description box. There are 20 questions in this tag. It's kind of a long one, but that's okay. I decided to make it into a vlog and make it even longer. I am coming to you from a lake in Northwest Arkansas. The area that I live in has a lot of lakes, water, forest, like this kind of forest. Where I'm from in Oregon has like pines and fir trees and mountain lions and moose and elk and bears and really remote scary stuff. This is more like recreation forest. This is the kind of forest that will get 100 degrees in the summertime with like 90% humidity or whatever and just kill you. But still very beautiful, just not always super tolerable. But like I said, like this is a gorgeous day. There is zero lines in the sky right now. It is completely blue in all directions. That just never happens. So it's a very beautiful day. I'm very thankful to have it. And I'm very thankful to have this day out here in the beautiful place that I live. All right, so I'm actually gonna start with question number 4. And number 4 says, name a book that you liked where nature is personified. And so I've been thinking about some of the things that I've read lately, and I think probably Winnie the Pooh is my favorite lately that could fit that category. It's full of talking animals. It's full of animals that you wouldn't necessarily find in the same place, I don't think, right? Like if you really think about it, you've got a kangaroo and a bear that is orangey yellow, by the way, and a little pig that walks on 2 legs, and a tiger also walks on 2 legs, and a donkey, and a gigantic yellow rabbit, and a little boy, right? So that's just funny. Oh, and an owl. But anyway, in the books, you've got all of these characters, animals that you probably wouldn't actually find together in the woods in England. I'm just saying. So that's just one of the things that makes it super fantastical, right? And then just the funny dialogue, the funny ways that they think. Even the bees are personified. But anyway, that's my answer. Winnie the Pooh. All right, number 5 is, what is your favorite outdoor reading spots? I would say something like this. Somewhere near water that is breezy with, you know, the sounds of nature around me. I don't so much mind people around me as long as they're not being obnoxious. It's kind of like I'm an old-fashioned librarian, so you gotta be quiet at the library, right? It's also kind of that way for me when I'm out in nature at a place like this. Like I don't like it when there's like kids running around and screaming and I guess I don't mind like enjoyable happy screams. I mind like out of control families. Is that horrible? Am I a snob or am I just an old lady? Like, anyway, I won't go into all that. But when it's quiet and peaceful and the gentle sounds of gentle conversation where everyone is gently enjoying the nature as I am, then it is my favorite place to read. I've actually been thinking if I get done with this filming and it's not too hot and I'm not too hungry, that I might go sit on that red bench and read a little bit. The only thing is, and this is the issue with reading in nature here in Arkansas, is we are just packed out with ticks. There are so many ticks here in Arkansas. So if you sit in a place like where that bench is, where there's trees above, they just drop out of the trees on you. And so you just kind of have to, I don't know that or not go outside. And usually I just choose to not go outside. But here lately, I think the vlogging thing actually is really helping me, because I want to get outside and show you guys the pretty places. And I want to explore the pretty places. $3,000 plane tickets to England is definitely helping, because usually about this season I would be trekking around somewhere, usually southern England. And although this year I was going to go up to Manchester and Haworth and all the Bronte stuff and York and all that, but anyway, someday. So being outside is really helping with that too, right? I do also just like to read on my front porch. I live in a really peaceful, little cul-de-sac, and there's a lot of construction going on there, but not a lot of people have moved in yet. So I probably should enjoy it, right, this summer as much as I can before my neighborhood fills up with people. I'm really not, well, maybe I am, as antisocial as I'm appearing to be in this video. I'm not antisocial. I'm not even an introvert so much as I'm just like a select-overt. I'm very selective about the atmosphere that I exist in. And now I sound like a snob. So let's move on to number 11, favorite outdoor activity. My favorite outdoor activity is to sit and write by water, usually. It's just very inspiring, and I've said before that I don't like to read poetry, but I do write poetry, and so that is like really poetically inspiring to me. So I do really enjoy sitting outside and writing. As far as like, I think that maybe this is kind of like, do you like go hiking, biking, swimming, fishing? I do kind of like to do that stuff, but I haven't done a lot of that here in Northwest Arkansas because, like I said, humidity. When it's so beautiful, it's usually very intolerable temperature-wise. So I did a lot more of that when we lived in Oregon, and I was also like, 13 years younger than I am now. So that's kind of not an excuse, because I live in an elderly, retirement and elderly community, and like 80% of the people that live in my town are older than my mother. So that's not an excuse. All right, moving on. Number 12, do you think you can live off grid? Okay, so it says, do you think you can live off grid? And then like this, the clarifying questions or statement says no electricity as well as no socializing. So I'll answer, and then I just kind of want to address that a little bit. So off grid, no electricity. Yes, I could do that. I would say I'm industrious. If I need to solve a problem, I'm usually pretty good at solving the problem, especially if it has to do with things at the home or, that kind of stuff. So one of the things about living here is we do have a lot of power outages because of us being kind of in Tornado Alley, and just the intense storms that we get a lot of power outages. So living off grid, no big deal. I do a lot of canning and preserving of food, and I just kind of do that often because of the fact that our power goes out a lot. It's really not that big of a disruption in our actual daily living to not have power. It disrupts my husband's work because he is a software developer, and so obviously he needs the internet and stuff. But just to survive, I got a lot in my basement, we'll just say that. And so yeah, we could go without power just fine. Water, as long as I had a clean water source or ability to make my water clean, yeah, that wouldn't be too much of a problem. The socializing part is a completely different story, and I don't actually really associate no socialization with off-grid living. And I think that's because I live in an area where a lot of people live off-grid. Lots of people in the Ozarks live off-grid. I have lots and lots and lots of friends who live off-grid to some degree, either fully, partially, whatever. And so there are a lot of resources out there to be able to live off-grid easily if you live in a climate like this, where if it freezes, it's just a day or two. And you can survive the heat, it's just not fun. So it's a pretty mild climate that doesn't have a lot of really harsh winters that will kill everything off. Like I have thyme on my front porch. It's survived all year, your herbs, whatever. So this is a great place to live off-grid, and I know a lot of people who do. However, the idea of off-grid being equaled with no socialization is just not a thing. There are things you can do to still keep in contact, even get internet if you live off-grid. Sorry, I was distracted by fish. A lot of people have solar generators, right? And then you can generate enough to run like your Starlink or whatever. Charge your phone, that kind of stuff. It's just really, there's a lot of sun here, right? So having solar generators a lot of people just have them even if they live in the city, because it saves you on your electric bill. In fact, a lot of times people will sell their electricity back to the electric company if they've created it through solar power. I would not want to live without socialization completely, but I could do with just, once every couple of weeks, maybe. But yeah, I could do without the no socialization, like in person, but I definitely feel like my online friends, my booktube community, at this point in my life, in this season of my life, you guys are closer friends to me than anybody I know in person outside of my family. So right now, no, I wouldn't want to live without you. All right, number 15 is to name a book with a strong snow or cold element, and I'm thinking of The Winter Ghosts by Kate Moss. That whole book is, I always say atmospheric, and I have no other synonyms. I will read a thesaurus before next winter's book recommendation video, because I always recommend that one, and I always say it's atmospheric, but it is. Yes, very snowy, cold. It's the first scene of the book, and it has a lot. It plays the cold and the snow and the just environmental conditions in that book play a huge part of the story. Number 17 says, what is your ideal climate to live in? And that would definitely be something like Seattle, Washington, like the westernmost parts of the Pacific Northwest. We lived in the Pacific Northwest for the first 33 years, like I said. And for a short time, we lived up in far northwest Washington, up about an hour from the Canada border and an hour north of Seattle. That area is called the San Juan Islands, and in Skagit County. So if you guys are familiar with that, we lived there for a while. Love it. It's my most beautiful, favorite place in America for sure. So it'd be something like that, or something like England. They're kind of on the same latitude, I think. They seem to be very similar in climate, as far as it doesn't usually get really super hot, and it doesn't usually get really super freezing for a long time. I don't personally mind the cold and the snow and the ice, other than the fact that now that I have adult children, it's dangerous for them to drive on, right? But if everybody was just staying home, I could live in Siberia or something, and I would be fine. But I really do like the beautiful nature, coupled with just days that are cool. I'm fine with being overcast, cloudy. I'm fine with rain. I'm a happy Eeyore, I guess. But I really do like that cooler conditions with the beautiful nature and not a lot of crazy weather events. Number 18 is, what season do you read the most in? And I don't think that I have a particular season that I read the most in. I read differently in different seasons. At the beginning of the year, I'm usually just kind of jumping right into everything that I put on my goals for the year. And then by about mid-April, end of April, I start to think I really want to do something different now, because, I've just been hitting these goals so hard and I'm burnt out. And I'm not necessarily burnt out, but I'm just kind of wanting to do something different. And so I usually get into nonfiction, educational, research, history, literary type things between like May and like, I don't know, October-ish. And then in the fall, once I've sort of got it out of my system and things are settling down and kind of coming into, you know, super cozy months and just time when I'm, you know, we're not doing school and we're just all chilling out, then I tend to pull out cozy reads and some of my favorite classics that I reread every couple of years and just cozy in, right, for the next few months. So yeah, but I would say I read a lot all the time. I don't really have a lot of responsibilities outside my home other than like, you know, taking people to appointments and getting groceries and that kind of thing. So it's not, you know, if I was in school or, you know, so if I was like, you know, had a certain kind of job or my kids were in school or that kind of thing, I think that I would probably have a different, you know, reading schedule, but my life is kind of the same every day. It's all right. All right, and then number 20 is, what book do you hope to finish by the end of the current season? So right now, the current season is holding off on summer. It's mostly summer, but it doesn't have the humidity, so thankful for that. Have I mentioned that? I think I have, about 20 times. I think I'll probably just say by the end of this month, or maybe by like the second week of June when it just starts getting really intolerable. I would hope to have the 4 books that I am studying in preparation for Jane Austen July. There are 2 books on her relationship with Anne Lefroy, and then there are 2 books on the Elgin Marbles that have to do with the Regency era. And so I've been wanting to read and study those books and come up with a couple of, I'm just kind of doing it for my personal study for this month. And I would like to write a couple of essays and write up a couple of video scripts to talk about them on my channel. So those are my goals as far as deadline stuff. All right, so that was part 1, and I hope you guys enjoyed this naturey sort of vlog here and the few question answers that I gave you. I will be back with part 2 soon, probably in the next day or 2, so you guys can be looking for that. I just didn't want to, you know, bog you down with hours and hours of video. All right, guys, hope you guys are doing well. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.